Welcome to Brewings TV. I'm Tom Terwilliger. Welcome into our brand new studio here, Studio B at Tavern on the Ridge. We start off tonight with a little good news. Brewings magazine, the quarterly publication of the Shell's Border Batch, won second place for small chapters at BCCA's CANvention in Milwaukee, and we're very proud of that award. And this is Brewings TV, the video extension of Brewings magazine. Well, next we have a letter that comes to us from Jack Isaacson of the Northstar Chapter and a past BCCA president. Jack writes and says, "Tom, congratulations on your Brewings TV videos. They're great, and we look forward to seeing more of those. Last spring you did a story called Northstar Chapter Resignations. Do you have any more information on that as to why those 4 individuals resigned?" Jack says that a fellow Northstar member told him that it was because of an article published in Brewings magazine last fall that depicted Dave Wendell as positioning himself near the door at Guzzle and Twirl so that he could get all the goodies. Well, that article was written by Barry Travis, and it was in this very issue of Brewings magazine, and it was quite humorous. It was a lampoon style article, and it was called "Security Breach at Guzzle." It pictured Bob Jackson in a security guard outfit snapping on a rubber glove for a body cavity search, and you'd have to read the whole thing. But anyway, I talked to Dave Wendell while I was at CANvention, and Dave told me that he understood it was a lampoon type article. It was written with a humorous intent, but there was a little part about him trying to get, all the good stuff coming in the door that's sort of hurt his feelings. And to that we apologize to Dave. There was no intention of ever hurting his feelings. It just kind of had to be written that way to make the article work. And he understood that, and we talked, we apologized, we shared a hug, and renewed a commitment to help each other's chapters with future events and things like that. So to shed light on why these people resigned, Dave told me his dad, Joe, is getting to the age where he just needs to give it up and let somebody else take over. He was the treasurer. Dave's been the president, I think, for 20 years. And he's going to stay on with the board, but it was time for him to pass that torch on to somebody else. Brent Kassler and Joe Stayscall, I don't know their exact reasons why they're resigning, but I assume they probably have changes in their personal lives, or maybe they just have done it long enough and they're ready to move on. And so this is an opportunity for Northstar members to step in and take the reins of that chapter. It's the biggest local chapter of the BCCA in the country with over 400 members. And there should be a lot of people taking their turn at running that club, and I think there's going to be some good ones. Mike Mullally has expressed interest in stepping up as chapter president. Jody Otto, I understand, is interested in the treasurer's position. I've heard some other people's names being thrown about for newsletter editor and board members. And the Northstar chapter is going to be fine. That's what I gleaned from talking to Dave at CANvention about the reasons for that. Jack, I hope that answers your question. Well, speaking of CANvention, some of the Border Batch members were there in force, and it was a great time. CANvention 45 of the Brewery Collectibles Club of America, or BCCA, and it was in Milwaukee, Beer City, USA, and what a great time it was. And some of the highlights included a stop at Miller High Life Brewing Company, a great tour there. They had some very nice things in the gift shop. Of course, they took you down to the bottling canning arena. Then you went up into the top of the brew house. Then they walked you down one of the 10 original caves that was kind of museum-like. They converted it for the tour. There was a big painting at the end of the cave of a picnic scene, and Frederick Miller actually comes out of that as a hologram and starts talking to the visitors and drinking a beer while he's doing so. Very cool. Massive complex, almost like a city within the city. Well worth your time. If you ever get to Miller Brewing Company, or you're in Milwaukee, get to Miller Brewing Company. It's definitely a must-stop. And a really fine tour, and you get 3 nice beers at the end of the tour, so I recommend it. Craft Beer Night was also no exception at Milwaukee this year. It was well attended, a lot of good Wisconsin and Milwaukee breweries there. One of the highlights for me was Pabst brought back Old Tankard Ale, which I don't know that I'd ever tried it. I remember it when I was a kid, but I'd never drank it. And we got to try some of that. They're doing that in small batches. So that was really cool. On Friday, of course, for the Border Batch, a stop at Best Place at Pabst Brewery. And let me tell you, that was well worth the time. The tour guide's name is Scotty, I believe, and he's got a snarky personality, real quick-witted fella. and we had a great time there. He gives you about a 30-minute history lesson with some videos and pictures. You get to drink beer during this. You get a free beer as part of the tour. You can buy more beers at a reasonable price. After you get done with that part of the tour, they take you up into another part of this small part of the complex, and where Captain Pabst's old office was. Like Jay Martin here in this picture, you can sit in Captain Pabst's chair at the desk, or if you're really feeling froggy, you can lay out on the floor right there by the Pabst logo. And then after that, it's back down through the garden. You get to take a look at King Gambrinus and a neat story about how they recovered him. And then you get to go back into a different bar on the other side where the tour started, and you can buy some more beers and sit and chat with the tour guide, and the tour kind of ends right there. And then they have a really nice gift shop, and they also have some real Breweriana in this gift shop. Bob Jackson scored a Pabst Blue Ribbon flat top. There were some Pabst trays and other pieces of Breweriana, plus some modern reproduction things as well. So I recommend Best Place at Pabst. Friday night for us was we went out and did a little sightseeing, and then we hit the Jersey Shore chapter as their hospitality. I talked to Joe Germino from the Jersey Shore chapter, past BCCA president. It was a great time. On Saturday for us, it was home, and we came back through Potosi, hit the National ABA Museum at Potosi Brewing Company, had lunch and beers there, and let me tell you, you've got to go to that if you haven't been. It is a must-see for any Breweriana lover. You just can't not stop at Potosi. From there we hit two breweries in Decorah, Toppling Goliath, and I think it was called, the other one, Rock Point or Rock Ridge is a new one in Decorah. Nice stop there quickly and on home. CANvention 45, a big success for the BCCA. Over 1,000 people registered. Over 800 of those were paid members. The rest were guests of members. And the World Convention of Brewery Collectibles were there with over 22 countries represented. So it was a huge show. The hotel attendance spilled over into the DoubleTree, and hopefully you were there, but if you weren't, I hope you enjoyed this quick description of it. And next year CANvention is in Portland, Oregon on similar dates in early September. We'll have more on that later, but 2016, Portland, Oregon, a beer mecca. You might want to put that on your calendar. And now some events that are coming up in our area. The Shell's Border Batch is holding its annual Stubby Fest celebration in New Ulm at the Dan Steber residence, and it includes a fun-filled day that starts off with a Billy Beer can shoot, and then after that there is a trade show that's a small trade show. It's not Guzzle and Twirl, but it's a small trade show. At about 1:30 we load up some hay racks and we go on a pub crawl into New Ulm, and we check out some of the famous bars in New Ulm downtown. Of course we also stop at Smiley's, but we go to the B&L, Mounds, Kegel Club, sometimes the brewery, and then back to Dan Steber's for a nice supper. And then there's karaoke, plus the world's worst band, and usually a small auction about 9 o'clock. A $25 pass gets you into all the events. That's this Saturday, September 26th in New Ulm. It's Stubby Fest. And then Friday, October 9th and Saturday, October 10th, the Northstar Chapter is holding Guzzle and Twirl. I believe it's their 42nd annual Guzzle and Twirl. Friday night, room-to-room trading, hospitality room at the hotel in St. Paul's, the Holiday Inn, and then Saturday at Aldrich Arena. It's a hockey arena that holds over 300 plus tables, and if you're looking for Breweriana, the odds are good you could find it there. There's something for everyone, and it's a beautiful time. Great parking at Aldrich Arena, no problem to get a spot to park, and easy in, easy out, not hard to find. So if you want more information on Stubby Fest or on Guzzle and Twirl, just go to borderbatch.com. Finally, one more thing. We have our local member Scott Schindler from Hutchinson, Minnesota, stopped into Mankato Brewing Company, and Scott took a picture of himself sitting in their new tap room, which has all been remodeled and redone and expanded. And here's Scott taking a little time out to have a beer at Mankato Brewing Company. They make fine beers. They're easy to find right there in kind of north side of Mankato. Great little stop, and I recommend that also. Thanks for the picture, Scott, and the update on their tap room. And if you'd like to have your picture on Brewings TV, or if you have any news or information, send it to shellsguy@outlook.com. Well, I'm trying out my new Potosi beer can glass that I got while I was at Potosi as we wind up this broadcast from Studio B here at Tavern on the Ridge. This has been Brewings TV. Until next time, prost.